Okay, here are my patterns. I have cut them on my fabric and I'm just showing you the allowances I added. Okay, yes, I sew on 1/4 inch, so I'll be showing you how I added those allowances. Okay, so first off, the side pieces, these are, the center piece and the side piece. Look at where I added 1/4 inch. Around that place I added 1/4 inch, but down I added 1 inch because I did not add the hemming allowance downwards. I didn't add it in my pattern. Okay, so if you add in your pattern, fine, but since I didn't add in my pattern, that's why I have 1 inch downwards to fold that dress. Okay, so take note, that's the back piece. I added 1/2 inch in 1/4 inch rather, while at the down I added 1 inch, but all around I added 1/4 inch. And I did not add allowances by the sides of the dress because I added that sewing allowance in my pattern. Okay, so there are no allowances by the side, I just have them as I've shown you. Okay, so please take very careful note. These are my bra cups. Now I did not add allowance for the bra cups in the pattern, and that is why I'm adding the sewing allowance all around. I sew on 1/4 inch. Remember I said if you sew on 1/2 inch, please add 1/2 inch allowance. Okay, so that is me showing you I've added the allowances round. Okay, yes, so I'm gathering my pattern. I want to show you the lining I cut. After cutting it, I just used look, this is a soft gum I used. Okay, that's the soft gum I just showed you. I put the soft gum on the material. Yes, all of them. It's called you can call it interfacing, fusible interfacing. So that's what I put all around the dress. And remember, this fabric is folded into 2. Okay, so it's folded into 2. Fold your fabric into 2 and cut. Okay, so that you have them 2 by 2, but for the center piece you don't divide it, and that is what it looks like there. That's the bra cups I'm showing you. All of them I ironed the fusible interfacing on it. Okay, that's just to strengthen the fabric. Okay, it's very necessary. So the next thing I have is my lining. I cut my lining. After cutting the fabric, I used the fabric to cut the exact same thing on the lining, and I also ironed the stay on it as well, or the fusible interfacing, but permit me to call it stay. So I ironed it on it. That is what you can see. Okay, all my pattern have this stay ironed on it. All of them have it ironed on it, both the lining and the fabric. Okay, so you're welcome to my channel. If you're new, please subscribe, like this video. This is a very detailed sewing video, very detailed, and that is why I have it. This is the first part. There's a continuation of the video. Okay, now this is the Wadding I used a soft Wadding. Okay, and because it's soft, I cut 6 pieces for the bra cups. That is 6 pieces per bra cup. Okay, so now when I remember one side of the cup is into 2, so I have 3 for each side. For all sides of this bra cup have 3 of the Wadding on it. Okay, now remember I said the Wadding I use is a soft one. So if you are using the strong one, okay, just use the consistency that is okay for you. Some strong Waddings just need 1. Okay, yes, so this is my Wadding. I just use 1 piece for this center part. This is just to strengthen it as well. Okay, so that when the bra cups sit on it, it doesn't start to fall. Okay, so but for this I just used 1 is enough. Remember I said if your Wadding is strong, you may not need to use as much as 3, but I use the softest of the Wadding, and that is why I use 3 per piece of bra cup. Yes, and that is what it looks like, and that is what I've shown you. Now the next thing, this is my Modesty panel. This is the Modesty panel I'll be using at the back, at the area where the loops are inserted. And how do you get the length for your Modesty panel? I used here 14 inches, and then I measured the length of my back piece and I used here. Okay, so now remember for our back piece we took out 8 inches. Okay, that is 4. We took out the center pieces, which is when it's folded into 2, it's 4. Okay, so that's me measuring the length, and that's the length I have there as 12. Okay, now back to my explanation. We took out 8 inches in the center back. That is what I replaced there. Then I wanted it to start at 2 inch from one side and enter in at 3 inch of the other side. Okay, this is me trying to show you. Yes, that is it. So I wanted it to start from one side at 2 inches. That is it, as you can see. Yes, and then enter the other side at 3 inches, so that I have it lapping all areas of my back covered. Okay, yes, so that's the 8 inches. So all I just did was to say 8 plus 2 plus 3, I had 13, and then I added 1 inch. Okay, that made it 14. This is not folded into 2 because I have a lining cut separately for it, and I put the fusible interfacing on everything. Okay, remember I said it's not folded into 2. That is 14 flat, 14 straight. Okay, everything is 14. Now this I'm showing you is the rope I cut out for the back, for the loops at the back. That's the long rope I'll be using to intertwine the corset loops at the back. Okay, I have a length of when folded into 2, I had 32 inches, so one piece I had about 64 inches. Okay, for that one. Now these other small pieces are what I cut for the loops at the back, and I just cut a width of 1.2 inches, so that when I fold into 2, I'll just have like ½ inch left. Okay, yes, I know it's very small, but when you stick true to the video, you see how I turned it out. Now I'm just going ahead to iron my my wadding, okay, to the pattern, and that is what you can see me do. I'm ironing my wadding to the pattern very carefully. Please, when ironing, ensure that you do not stretch your fabric so that it doesn't lose shape. Okay, yes, ensure that you don't stretch your fabric. Just gently press it so that your fabric doesn't lose its shape. And please, for most part of the video, or as we progress, I may begin to talk less, because a lot of things are better watched than said. So I will just come in to explain where necessary. Remember, this is a very detailed sewing tutorial. If you're new to the channel, kindly subscribe so that you get notified when I drop the remaining part of the video. That is me trimming off all the excesses after ironing my wadding. Yes, we've gone over to the sewing machine. Just watch carefully how I'm going about this. The first place I'm sewing is the center piece. As you can see there, that's what I'm showing you, the center and the side piece. I'm joining it together so that we can get the area where our bra cup will sit. Okay, so just watch and learn. So whatever I did for the fabric is the same thing I did for the lining. As you can see, what I sewed on the fabric, I made the same stitch for the lining as well. And you can see, yes, I'm almost done. Yes, so this over to the bra cups. I'm using my pattern to identify the points where I'll be joining. That's why your pattern is very important, and very necessary that you label. Okay, so I use my pattern to identify where I'll join, and then look at this. Because it's quite thick, I just raised about just 2 of the wadding, and I trimmed a 1/4 inch out. Okay, yes, just 2. I just raised it up and trimmed it about a 1/4 inch, so that when I sew that place, it lies flat. Okay, it doesn't puff off at that point. Okay, the seam there will just be relaxed enough to lie. And I also need to note that I did not use any wadding for my lining, but it's optional. The quantity of the wadding you use is really optional, and it's at desired. So if you want to use a wadding as your lining, feel free to do so. Okay, now this is what it looks like after I've sewn. Here we have the one of our backup is ready. The second, I did the same thing for the second as well. Please do not forget to trim off some of the wadding, okay, so that you have that place well relaxed. Okay, there you go. That's our second bra cup sitting all cute. Okay, now the same thing, the same way I join the fabric is the same way I will join the lining. Okay, so I'm also preparing the bra cups for the lining. Now do not forget to notch after you sew. I also notch the front. Okay, please, notching is very important. Look at me notching it all through, because we are going to be ironing it open at the table. As you stay tuned to the video, you see how we are going to go about that. Our bra cups are ready and sitting pretty. If you haven't subscribed, this is me reminding you to do so. Okay, now over to our back piece. Okay, just note the point where I'll be sewing the top of the back piece and the side, just the top and the side. I will not be sewing the center part because I'll have to insert the loops first before I sew. Okay, and I just like to put all the pieces together at once when I'm sitting on the machine, so that I take everything to the table at once as well to iron, instead of going back and forth. Okay, so that's why you see that I'm basically putting all the parts of the lining together at one time. Okay, it saves stress, so that is just what I'm doing. Remember, I sewed the top. This is the top of the back piece. Then I opened and I did another seam I top stitched on the lining. Okay, I folded the seam to the lining and I top stitched. I'm just trimming off all the excesses. So remember, I said you after top stitching, I'll go ahead to sew the sides. Okay, the sides is the part with the shape. Okay, the center place I did not touch it because I'm going to be inserting loops before I turn it. okay. And also take note that I did not sew it down, because this is the back. I will be attaching my Modesty panel before I sewed it down, okay. And this is the Modesty panel I'm sewing as well. So for the Modesty panel, I just sewed it all around and left it open on one side, okay. You see why I did that side is to bring out the Modesty panel. Just like I said, I'll be doing less of the talk. You just watch attentively and see how this is all being done. Okay, so the other side I left open is what I used to bring out the Modesty panel. Now this is the rope, okay, the long rope that will be used to intertwine the loops at the back, okay. So remember I said I had a length of 64 inches, that is without doubling it, okay. And I cut this rope on a width of 2.5, so that when I folded into two, I had about 1/4 of an inch, okay. So I'm sewing on quarter, so that when I bring it out, I should have 1 inch, okay. That's the size I use. The size is also as desired. You could choose to make it smaller or a little bit bigger, okay, but this is about an average size. So I'm also sewing the material for my loops, okay. It's quite small. Don't worry how we are going to bring it out. I'll show you a very easy way to bring it out, okay. So remember I had this without being folded. I cut it on 1.2 inches, so that after I folded, I have a 3/4 of an inch. I used quarter to sew, and I had ½ inch left, okay. Now this is how I brought it out using this broomstick. As you can see, just put it at the edge of the material and then put in the broomstick, and then you have it at sew. If you do not understand, just take it a little, take it back, and you see how I did that. Over to the pressing table, okay. That's my breast bulb. Yes, this is a breast bulb, and it's used to give more, you know, it's what you use to work with your bust, anything that has to do with your bust here, okay. And they're in different sizes, so I'm using my iron to iron that seam at the center open, okay, because I need my bust, you know, at that point, that center point, I need it to lie flat. You don't want it puffing up at some point, okay. So that is what I did. That is me ironing all through all the cups, the 2 cups and the lining. I ironed the seam open, okay, and I just further use my cup to, you know, give it more shape and more form. So I'm done with my cups, and then I'm moving over to the front piece. I'm also going to iron those seams open, okay. The aim is to have everything properly flattened out, and you know, have it smooth at the other side. Okay, this is my back piece. Remember I told you I had the sides turned. I did not turn the center piece, okay, so I'm just ironing it out, okay. Have you subscribed? If you haven't, please hit the subscribe button. like the video, feel free to share. If you have any questions, drop it in my comment section and I will look at them. Okay, it is very important to iron while making your corset. You cannot just help but iron it. Okay, the finishing is very important, so that is why we iron corset. It is very important. Please love your iron at this point. Just love your iron. It's going to take a while, but patience is the goal. Okay, the ropes as well, I am ironing everything. I'm just flattening it out, as you saw back there. Now I'm back to the table, and that's a bias tape. Okay, that is where I'll be inserting my boning, and that's the next thing you do after ironing. So I just place it before the line. I really wish you could see it so clearly, but it's not really clear here. But you just insert it beside the line, that seam line. Just sew it at that 1/4 inch of the bias tape. So open it, fold it, and sew it, and then you fold it and stitch on the bias. So the first stitch is inside the 1/4 inch allowance of the bias tape, and then the next stitch is on top of the bias. Okay, yes, so you just stitch it at those lines. We have 2 lines in front, so we are going to have to create another one in the center, but we don't need to divide it. Okay, you see how I went about that. Okay, so neatly attach your bias to your fabric and ensure you sew very close to the edge of the bias to enable your boning enter in, because we'll be using a 1/2 inch boning. Okay, so it's very important you are sewing so close to the edge of the bias. Now for the center, I just got the middle point. I held that place, notched it, and then got the middle point of the front piece as well, and I just placed my bias beside those notches as I did at the other line. I placed it beside the notches. I sewed inwards inside the 1/4 inch allowance, and then I folded it and I sewed on top of the bias as well. Okay, this video is quite long. It's a long video because of how intentional I am about the detailed, about the detailed explanation and illustrations in the video. For that reason, for that sake, we are going to be having another part of the video. We are going to be having a second part. I just hope it doesn't get into part 3, but I'll try as much as I can to make it just 2 parts. Okay, so that watch, this is the part 1, and then we'll continue at part 2. Okay, so just watch. I'm going ahead to attach the bra cups. Yes, as you can see. Now what I did is that line on the bra cup, I use it to secure the line I have on the dress, and I place them to align, and then I'm just going ahead to sew round. So from that point I'll sew to the end of the first cup, then I'll turn the dress over and sew to the end of the other side of the cup, and I'll do the same thing for the other side as well. Yes, you can see me flipping over to sew from the middle point to the other end of the cup. And I'll show you what it looks like. Look at that. That is the other side of the cup. Okay, so when I'm done, I'll show you what it looks like. Please be very careful and ensure that you're using exact amount of or exact size of seam allowance all through. You cannot just afford to use different sizes. Okay, so if you're using half inch, let it be half inch all the way. If you're using quarter inch, let it be quarter inch all the way. Look at our bra cup sitting pretty. Okay, very pretty. Okay, so when we are done with stitching both, you see how both of them look like. Okay, like I said, carefully ensure that you're using the same size of hemming allowance all through, so you don't have distorted shapes. Okay, so there you go. Look at our bra cup sitting pretty neatly attached. Okay, and remember the same thing I'm going to do for the lining. The same thing I did on the bra cups. The only thing I didn't do on the lining was to attach a bias tape for the boning channel. I didn't do that because I do not intend to use a boning on the lining. But if you are interested in using a boning for the lining, why not? You can go ahead and attach your bias tape, or better still, you can use a sewable boning. Just sew it at those lines. That is if you want to strengthen, okay, your dress. You want to make it more strengthened. Okay, that is, you can use a boning on the lining as well. But for me, I did not. So that is why you do not have any attachments, any boning attachments on that seam allowance. Okay, so look at my bra cups for the lining, and I'll just bring my fabric together and then show you what else to do. Okay, this is my hemming gum. It's a stabilizer. When you're sewing dresses and you use this hemming gum, you know, when you iron it, it stabilizes the fabric to what you want before you stitch. Okay, so I'll be using this hemming gum to sew at the top of the corset, so that when I'm going to iron, it will just gum. Okay, because that side is usually thick, very thick. Okay, so we use our stabilizer to hold it together, so when we are going to press it, we have it exactly where we want it. So I place the stabilizer or the hemming gum on top of the bra cup, on top of the corset, and I'm sewing. As I'm stitching, I am stitching on the hemming gum as well, so that I have it in the position where I stitched it. Okay, when it comes to where we are ironing, you see that the material will just stick, okay, without it jumping to different sides. Okay, yes. And I'm just going ahead to trim, and then do not forget to notch the top of your bra cup as well. Okay, so I set that bra cup aside, and then this is the back. Yes, so I just brought it out. Okay, yes, I just sewed the down for the back for the other side, and then for this back, I'm just going ahead to cut my loops. I cut them on a length of 3 inches. 3 inches will do. Okay, if you must make it smaller, 2.5. Okay, but 3 inches will do, and that's what I did. After ironing those loops, I cut them at that measurement. Then this is the loop. This is the point where I want to attach my modesty panel. So I just marked 1 3/4 inch, so that by the time I sew my modesty panel, to sit at 2 inches. Okay, now I place it where I want it to face, and I'm sewing it just on the lining. I am attaching that modesty panel only on the lining. I'm not attaching together with the fabric. And as you can see, I weave that edge of the modesty panel so that it has a clean finishing. Remember, I said attach it just on the lining, do not attach it with the fabric. Okay, now look at this. Now we have our modesty panel carefully inserted, okay, just sewn on top of the lining. I went ahead to trim off excesses, and can you see, after touching the Modesty panel, I turned it down as well. Okay, remember I've sewn the down for the other side of the back piece, and then this is how I'll sew the down for this part. Okay, now I have it carefully brought out, and then the next thing I'll be doing will be to insert the corset loops at the back. And then this is me trimming off every excess. So I have my ropes 3 inches length. Okay, so I really wish you can see this very clearly, but this is it. I just I folded the rope, so I'll just watch carefully. Maybe you could probably zoom so that you could see how it's done, because for this it's better seen than explained. But I am sewing only on the fabric, and the rough edge is facing the outer part of the fabric. Okay, so I have the head of the loops inwards facing inside the fabric, and I have the rough edge facing the rough edge of the fabric. That's the rough edge of the loops facing the rough edge of the fabric as well. Okay, so that by the time I use my lining to sew it, it conceals that rough edge and leaves me with just the head of the loops. I hope you understand, and I'm fixing them beside each other. Okay, yes, so this is how it's done. If it's not clear enough, I will try to do another video, or not another video, but I'll try to make it clearer when I am fixing for the second side. Okay, but if you zoom in, I believe you should see this. Like I said, the rough edge of the loops facing the rough edge of the fabric, the head of the loops facing eachward. Can you see? Yes. So that, and that is I did not take it all the way down. I left about 1.5 inch downwards. Okay, just for tightening. Now look at how I took it in and then I sew by the side. Okay, yes, please take note. If you didn't understand, take it back and watch again. Okay, yes, and then to bring out my loops, the back piece, to bring it out, I will just open the other side just a little bit, not all through. I just opened it a little bit and bring out all my fabric. Okay, yes, so this is where our part 1 for the sewing tutorial will be stopping. Ensure you turn on your notification bell so you get notified when I drop the second part of the sewing tutorial. Okay, this is MS Collections. Thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by. Can you see the loops? Yes, look at it, look at it, look at it, sitting all beautiful. Okay, I'll do for the other side. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.